Hold on a second, and we will share screens. Hold on. Start this going. Here we go. And Erev Tov, wonderful to be here with everyone. Good to see everyone. And just the first few words about our organization to start off the evening. Look at this out. It's the advert right before the evening. First of all, a big thank you to Teddy and to Aviva for putting together all our wonderful virtual events. And if you know that in 2019, we had 2,000 participants in our events. So kol hakavod to Teddy and to Aviva, over 200 events, really quite an achievement considering last year, 2020, and what we had to go through. So it really is very special. And I want to thank Julio for what we're going to be having a special time going through Soweto with you. So just a few words about the organization. Telfed, our nickname, Federation, from our offices used to be in Tel Aviv, founded by the South African Zionist Federation in 1948, when we looked after the Machal soldiers who came to volunteer here in Israel in the War of Independence. And we continue to look at our mission statement, Telfed mission statement, to promote the quality of life of Southern Africans and Australians in Israel, be able to experience what it's like to live as a Jew in the Jewish state, and for our Olim to participate and contribute to Israeli society, not just to stay in a bubble. As you see, South Africans and Australians, we deal with both. And the last slide refers to the different departments in Telfed. Each square that you see is a staff member together with a group of volunteers. So we're looking at, these are our statistics already from 2020, right? As I mentioned, look here, the events, 70 events and 2,000 participants. If we look here at Klita is pre-Aliyah, helping the Olim get ready to make Aliyah, greeting them at the airport when they arrive, looking after them and be in touch with them during their first year, both through our regional committees, our volunteers, and through our Klita counselor. If any of you would like to join a regional committee, please tell Aviva. We have 24 regional committees, and we're always looking for more volunteers to help be in touch with the Olim before they come and also once they arrive. A special division looking after lone soldiers, especially after they've discharged from the army, where it's really a challenge to get involved in Israeli society. You know, we're the only Ole organization that provides housing, 105 apartments in Tel Aviv. And 70% of the income from that rental, that's a subsidized rental for the Olim, 70% of the income goes to help the needy, where we help over 400 Olim a month with our social worker and committee of volunteers. Spoke about the events, 70 events, 2,000 participants. And if you're not getting our Telfed magazine or our newsletter, please let Aviva know so we can update your details in the database. Be in touch. You can find out what's happening with the Southern African Jewish community in Israel. Look how many recipients get the newsletter every month. And our Facebook page, please join the Facebook page and Instagram and be in touch with us on a regular basis. If you're not on the database, your children or your grandchildren won't be able to get the Telfed scholarships. So please make sure that you're on the Telfed database. Update Aviva if you're not. We give out over 400 scholarships. You can see we're the only organization that gives them out at the Knesset. And those scholarships can go up to 9,300 shekels a year. So definitely worthwhile to apply. And there's the PRUS program, which entails 3 hours of community service a week. So also, if you feel that you would benefit from help from a university student to be with you for 3 hours a week to assist you with your absorption, please let us know. And if you or your children, your grandchildren want to be students, so also make sure that you sign up and make sure you're on the database. Besides our regional committees and besides all the committees on each one of these squares, we also have a committee that teaches English to Ethiopian Olim. And the last square deals with employment, a full-time employment advisor and a full-time career counselor in order to help people prepare themselves for the job market. If any of you are successful in your field and you'd like to be a mentor, so please let Aviva know. You can become a volunteer mentor for our new Olim to help them get into their job niche in the Israeli market. So you can see a wonderful organization providing an umbrella of services for the Southern African and Australian Olim. If you're looking for a good organization where to give your donations to, please remember Telfed, and Aviva will post the link to our website where we'd be very happy if you can give a donation. You can dedicate a card in honor of a loved one, in memory of somebody. You can send a beautiful card to somebody, and you can make a wonderful donation to this great cause. So thank you very much, and let's have a wonderful evening together. Toda to Teddy and to Aviva.
Thank you, Doron. In a few seconds, we'll call on Julio if he's ready to join us. Again, a warm welcome to everybody. Julio, if you're ready, we're ready to go on a journey with you around Soweto.
Thank you, Doron. Thank you, Teddy. I'm just going to give a quick introduction for Julio.
Thank you.
Okay, so originally Julio is from Uruguay in South America, but he's been living in South Africa since 1976, both in Cape Town and Johannesburg. He is a licensed tour guide and can communicate in English, Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, and moderate French. And he promises that on his tours, he will imbibe a spirit of reality and introduce you to our colorful people and places to make your African experience most meaningful and memorable. He describes himself as a people's person. He's passionate about meeting tourists from all walks of life, and he offers a variety of tours, as well as customized tours designed to meet people's specific interests and needs. His education and interests lie in anthropology, sociology, economics, history, political science, law, and languages. So thank you so much, Julio, and I'll hand over to you to give your introduction.
You made a beautiful introduction. First of all, Erev Tov Haverim. I made Aliyah, but I came to Drum Africa. So my wife, Zila, and I are about to become Ole Hadashim sooner in the next 2 years, as soon as we can formalize everything. And I will be in contact with you, Doron Klein. We got children. So basically, I'm about to become an ex-Uruguayan and an ex-South Africa. And finally, I will make Aliyah. We already sent two of our children. They are living there. And it's about time to join the crowd. I think I will stay here long enough. Without further ado, I am very honored to be connected with Telfed. Doron, we've seen you over the years. My children are ex-Bnei Akiva, always Bnei Akiva boys. I come from another era, from Dror, Ashomer Atzair, etc. But somehow I moved to Cape Town and Johannesburg. Without any further ado, I think that Aviva, I'm very honored to be part of this organization, and I'm looking forward to spend my last 20 years of my life in Eretz Israel. You are doing a phenomenal job, and we are really proud of being part of your organization. And Aviva, I think we got a movie now and by the way, this is a presentation about Soweto and Johannesburg. We started with Soweto when I did a tour for Australia, and we expanded, and I don't live in Soweto. I live in Johannesburg, Fairmount, Glen Hazel area, in the middle of the Golden Medina. So Aviva, bevakasha, would you please give the pleasure of our Soweto and Johannesburg to our participants? I will keep quiet, and then thereafter you can ask as many questions as you want.
Okay, thank you, Julio. So as Julio said, we're going to start with the movie, and then there will be questions and answers with the tour guide himself.
Okay, we are now entering Soweto, and we are going to go along what it used to be called the Old Poach Road. Today is called Chris Hani, in memory of the leader of the Communist Party that was killed sometime around what year, 1990, before the first democratic elections. This street contains a lot of edifices that are very important. One of them is Baraguanas Hospital, which has been or is the most accredited academic hospital in the Southern Hemisphere. A lot of our students doing medicine, they come to do the internship for 2 years in this part of the world. We are going to see Baraguanas Hospital. The bridge on top of the highway, this is Baraguanas Hospital, now called Chris Hani Hospital. On the right-hand side, we are going to see probably the biggest taxi rank in this part of the world. Taxis go to various places around in the Gauteng. The Gauteng, as I was telling you, probably has got some 15 million inhabitants. It's the smallest, most densely inhabited province of South Africa. We are going to turn right, and we will have the pleasure, the next one, we will have the pleasure to show you the Soweto Towers, which today is an important tourist place. We see a little bit of the towers. Those two towers used to function as a power station some 40, 50 years ago. Today they become a very interesting point of interest. A lot of music is played there, barbecuing area. Underneath there is dancing facilities, and there is some bungee jumping for the more adventurous members of society. On the way there, we are going to stop and show you how the local population, the a little bit not so rich people of the community, but they are happy people. They know how to live and coexist with the rest of society. We are going to see soon some squatter camps. Soweto was invented by the government of the day for the purpose of removing the volumes of people of color from the city of Johannesburg. In 1948, apartheid was created by the government of the day. Soweto is known, as you all know, for various, Soweto is associated with a variety of things: justice, injustice, apartheid, music, the development of the Carta Magna of the ANC. In 1956, there was the basic principles of what today is the Constitution of South Africa were announced, and the idea of a fair and just society was developed. These are actually beautiful goats. This is David. You can say hello to the world.
Hello everyone.
And what do we call this place, David?
We call this place Nomzamo Park.
Nomzamo Park.
Nomzamo Park.
And a lot of the people speak one of the 11 languages, and they speak Xhosa with a, how do you say Xhosa? With the
Xhosa, click language.
Yes.
Xhosa.
Hola, hola, mama.
Hello. Okay.
Hello.
When we came back, we'll visit inside here, right?
Sambonani. Molo.
Can you say Umqomboti?
No. Umqomboti. I can. Nelson Mandela. Now let's go here. This is the main street, number 533.
Yeah.
And this is your name, sir? Molo.
Okay, let's visit inside there very quick. Let's visit inside there very quick.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm not shaking hands today because of Corona.
Yeah, we're visiting a guy here. His name is Sibeko, right?
Sebeko.
Sibeko.
Sebeko.
Sibeko.
Which means?
Sibeko, which is something you can put on the table. Sibeko.
Ah, Sebeko.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
you got very nice and clean place, eh? Congratulations.
Yeah.
And this is where you live?
Yeah. He's living here.
Ah,
Yeah.
this is a typical home. Do you live with your wife and children or what? Or
Yeah.
living alone?
Yeah, he's living alone.
Ah, you
We
got-
call this all-in-one houses.
All in one
Yeah,
houses?
because everything like you do inside, you are just turn around, you bath, turn around, you cooking. So we call this all-in-one houses.
All in one houses.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
And
then
I
some of the
I
people-
complain.
You
You
can-
see, I Mlungu complain.
Yeah. So usually we used to leave something each house if there's anything like you are willing to leave just for year allowances. Because some of the people, they are not working. You see, some of the people was really like in a tourism industry. But during this COVID-19, some of the people are struggling. So if there's anything you guys willing to leave towards his allowances, you feel free to do that.
I will actually, I got a little bit of cash, actually I'll leave
Thank
some,
you.
okay?
Yeah, but nothing that isn't compulsory. Whatever you want to do, make sure that you do through your heart, right?
Do you see the difference between South Africans and rich people in the north? People are humble. And look at that nice smile. Give us a smile, Cheja. There we are. Thank you very much, sir. Good afternoon, friends. We are now in the present of the Hector Peterson Memorial. Behind me, you are going to see some designs of the Ndabele people. Ah, there is the chef. How are you? Prince makes the best Soweto pizza. We'll see if they can compare it with the Italians or the Uruguayans, but we look professional. Thank you, sir. Here we are actually going, we are in the direction, as the sun sets, we are going to walk a little bit around the Hector Peterson Memorial. Who was Hector Peterson? Hector Peterson is a symbol of freedom. Now back to 1976, the students of Soweto aroused against the injustices of the apartheid regime. It was here precisely two schools were protesting against the imposition by the government of apartheid, forcing the students to learn Afrikaans, the language of the oppressor. The people, how are you, sir?
Fine, how are you, Papa?
Baba, no, Chelete, today. I spend it all day at the Scotland camp.
But me, since you promised, I found your fruit.
I know, but I got 5 and it's too little for you.
Fine, nah, it's fine.
You
It's
want
fine.
5?
Nah, it's fine.
I got 5 and I got 5 to get you back. And another one, that's it.
Thanks, Mr. Juliano.
Thank you very much. So, here we got a famous photograph. Hector Peterson was shot by the police. A kid of only 13 years of age was shot by the police along another 250 students. Hector Peterson in other words, Hector Peterson's photograph was taken secretly by a journalist that was with the crowd and was sent to the world. This photograph is what 30 years later created the democracy in South Africa. Hector Peterson is carried by another student. His name was Globo. He was carried in his arms. When the police came to look for him, he was never found. Apparently, he died in Nigeria. Next to Hector Peterson, you find his sister, whom I had the pleasure to meet personally. There is this is her sister, his sister. I met her actually, funny enough, about 6 months ago. A lovely lady. She's about 6 years younger than me. Funny enough, in 1976 is the year when I arrived in South Africa. I was 23 years of age and I really didn't know much of what was happening in Soweto. Neither did I know about a famous island at that stage that was opposite my place of work. I used to work for the Navy, and in those days they were talking about Robben Island, where Nelson Mandela was incarcerated with another amount of political agitators of the day. Here there is some very nice, touching words that were inscribed, and it says, "To honor the youth who gave their lives in the struggle for freedom and democracy." If we go along there, we are not going to walk this time, but along there we are going to find a street that is actually called Vilakazi Street, where two homes or two houses of two Nobel Prizes of South Africa, one Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela. Rolihlahla, funny enough, is the name. The British couldn't repeat Rolihlahla, and therefore they came with an invention called Nelson, in honor of the Admiral Nelson when he was going to a British school of the days. And then we are going to see the house where the parents of Bishop Desmond Tutu, another fighter of the struggle of South Africa in the last, over the period of 1965 all the way to 1990. He was, by the way, the president of the Reconciliation and Truth Commission. Now, shall we go? We are going to walk towards Vilakazi Street, and we are going to see the homes of Mandela and Tutu.
Desmond Tutu.
And we are going to try to see some of the street vendors that probably exist today or it doesn't exist. Here I'm going to walk towards a typical supermarket, and there you got, we are at the local supermarket. It's called Piri Supermarket. Sambonani, how are you? This is, may I introduce you, this is our vegetable shop, and your name is? Comocho, and your name? Letavo, Dumela Letavo, Lekai, Ceja. And this is our your sisters. And they are in partnership selling a variety of goods. How are you? How are you, my friend? Nice to see you. Okay. This is 200 rand. 200 rand. And if you negotiate a little bit less, 150.
This one is 100 rand. Wow, very nice. Also nice one. This one also 100 rand.
And here there is beautiful carvings. Can you see?
Yes.
There are beautiful things here. Hello, Morena. How much is this Mandela shirt?
Mandela shirt is 250.
250.
Yeah, like $20.
We are actually now in a very popular restaurant, not kosher, of course. Very popular, lots of birthday parties, people of different nationalities come. Let me show you the self-service. What is here?
Rice.
Rice, and here we got unka.
Yeah, unka is pumpkin pop.
Pumpkin, sorghum pop, mealie meal, or also known as maize meal, pop, some beans. As you can see, the area of South Africa, Johannesburg, has got a lot of grain, very dry. This is Morocco. And Morocco stands like the days of Popeye, who was a sailor man, and this was spinach, and also known as Morocco. It's a staple food. Here we got mixed vegetables, sweet potato, and here the chicken, roasted chicken, and this is umlequa. Now, umlequa, you got a problem. All this theoretically is kosher, but the South African people, this is the entrails, the insides of the cow. This is, it says, tribe, mohodu, tribe. The Jewish version is all kosher, I understand.
And this is the famous burro and this lamb stew. And with that, we say thank you. We are not going to eat today. Next time we coming to pay a visit, okay, with my friends.
Tavo. This is Tavo that is trying to earn a living. Things are not good for Tavo. So thank you, Tavo. Johannesburg is a relatively new city. It was founded sometime at the end of the 19th century, and that was the result of the discovery of gold. The people that arrived first in those days were the Afrikaners. It was a process that took place when they were trying to find autonomy. Here you got a building which is the post office that has been rejuvenated.
Let's take him once.
From here we can see where Johannesburg really started in the olden days. Here we got a place which is called Library Gardens. Today, a lot of the marches of the trade unions start in this region. On the left-hand side, we are going to see a bar that goes back to the 1910s, 1905. Here you got another building. It used to be a commercial building. It's called Victory House, that somehow has dilapidated. Walter Sisulu House. And there you see we are on the west part of Johannesburg. A lot of the mining houses still remain in this part of town. A lot of the shops here have been in existence for some 50, 60 years. Many of them are owned by Pakistani people of Indochina. There is a building of the First National Bank. It used to be, in the olden days, called Barclays Bank. A lot of the office blocks here have been turned into habitational units. Here you find a flea market, and a lot of people work in the city. We are now in an area called Braamfontein, which is above Johannesburg. On my left, we are going to see some buildings still showing off the passing of the times. Here is an area where a lot of educational institutions exist. Here on the horizon, we can see Johannesburg, sadly so, quite empty. It is now approximately 5 o'clock, and the people are going home quite early. On my right, you see a minivan. This is a traditional means of transport for the population of South Africa. Sadly so, the railways in South Africa are not very functional these days, nor are the buses, municipal buses. This is the way the masses of South Africa go to work. Sometimes people have to get up very early to take 2 of these minibuses. Here we are going above the railway station. Many of the trains, sadly so, are not very functional these days. We are going along here, one of the suburbs in Johannesburg. This area is called Houghton. It's got beautiful surroundings and lovely schools of yesteryear, like St. John's. We got also some beautiful facilities for cricket and rugby. These were traditional schools for the elite of the country. In the olden days, when the elite was mainly British, and then today we got the political elite of South Africa. The cost of the schools, attending the schools, is quite prohibitive for the average South African. This area is called Upper Houghton. This is called the King Edward School, and you can see some beautiful buildings, still well maintained. We are in Parktown. This is actually the suburb where Johannesburg more or less started from a living point of view. A lot of the rich people, the landlords, used to live here. This whole area is surrounded by parks, hospitals, private clinics. It is a pleasure to see the greenery and the people of Johannesburg chilling out. Unfortunately, we have too many people chilling out at the present moment. Also, amongst the beautiful parks, you find, sadly so, a lot of poor people trying to make a living. Here we got a view of Johannesburg. Unfortunately, the sun is setting, and here you can see from a distance the view of the jacarandas. You should probably know that the jacarandas came originally from South America, from Rio. Rio de Janeiro. This is a heritage site completed in 1919. And it says, Monroe Drive opened up Lower Houghton for development, named after John Monroe, a director of the Johannesburg Investment Company, developer of Houghton Estate. It traverses a steep 900-meter with hairpin bend and an impressive retaining wall. The original wall collapsed in 1938 and was rebuilt with dressed stone and an iron railing decorated with the city's then coat of arms. Its views over the northern suburbs and beyond have made it a much-loved landmark in the city. Beautiful trees flowering. The sky is blue. We are in an area here called the Highveld, which is about 1,500 meters, to be more specific, 1,545 meters above sea level. The weather is, generally speaking, unbelievable dry. For 6 months of the year, it doesn't rain, except now in summer. At about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening, we are going to enjoy beautiful rains. The ecosystem that we live in
Sorry about that. The video just stopped, but it was near the end. And now Julio will take questions. Thank you so much, Julio, and for everyone who's with us. Julio?
Yes.
I'll hand over to you for questions, and anyone can unmute themselves. If you have questions about Soweto, anything we just saw, please feel free to unmute yourself to ask your questions.
Let me say to you that you see in this video is a combination of different moments in the life in the last 2 years. Unfortunately, Soweto, it was barren, like the history of Jerusalem showed us. There was not much to show, so I have to actually combine a little bit of the past and the present to make it more interesting for the people. And what I wanted to do on this video is to show the foreign visitors, okay, that Johannesburg or South Africa is not necessarily Soweto. That's why I added Johannesburg to the whole presentation. Those places where Aviva has never been. Right? Guys, anything that worries you from your past, anything that you want to know?
Thank you, Julio. That was wonderful to see and go down memory lane, especially on Monroe Drive, where I'm sure many people online this evening will tell you lots of stories of their sweet 16-year-oldhood. So thank you for sharing all of that with us, and especially the Soweto part of that also, and the African beat, music and drums. So guys, if any of you would like to ask Julio a question, please feel free, either via the chat or unmute yourselves and ask the question in person.
Don't be shy, you're most welcome. Okay.
Julio, you did a wonderful job because everything seems to them clear.
There's only one voice.
David, would you like to ask a question? Thank you for.
May. I want to
Yes.
ask you what is happening in Yeovil?
I heard the
I'm not
word.
sure we heard the question, but Julio, did you hear? He wants to know what's happening in Yeovil.
Oh, no, what is not happening in Yeovil? Okay, let me say to you the following, that the Yeovil contains a piece of history of the past. Sadly so, it has deteriorated immensely. There is one building that still remains in its glory is the old Yeovil School from outside. If I move, Yeovil per se has sadly deteriorated. There is one shul that is still, if we go back to Jewish history, there is one shul that I particularly enjoy to take people, visitors from overseas, is the Lions Shul in Dorfontein, which remains beautifully decorated inside, and they managed to put a minimum once a week with some business people. But in general, the whole area has gone, as you say in the classics, meeting kop in der.
Sad to hear that, but that's the reality, I
Can
guess.
they hear me, Paul?
Sorry?
Hey, can they hear me? What's
If
got
you're asking, yes, David, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay, it was very interesting to see and hear. I'll tell you what, I was a student in South Africa, and I grew up, and I left South Africa when I was 71 years old, and I'm still living in the land that God gave us.
You are a real inspiration. I'm turning next week 68, and I was wondering, I was still asking the same question, can I still come to Israel or am I too old? But it looks like you are giving me a word of inspiration.
Now, let me tell you, I've been here for 10 years. If you want to come and live in Israel, I don't know if you're going to be a returnee or you're going to be Aliyah. That's a different story.
I'm not a returning. I am an Ole Hadash.
Ole Hadash.
That intends to maintain activity until the kingdom comes.
Right. Speak to. I'll tell you what. I'll go one step further. Very interesting. If you're coming on Aliyah, this is the best place in the world for you. You can't. We've been here 10 years, and I'm not going to talk. My children have been here 30 years, and my great-grandchildren are born here, and my grandchildren are born here. But when I say here, I mean Eretz Israel. I grew up I was born in South Africa. My mother and father were born in South Africa. And my grandparents arrived in South Africa in 1880.
Wow, that is about the beginning of Johannesburg.
Well, they lived in a place called Bethel in South Africa, Bethel.
In Bethel, I've been there. That's a lovely place. The shul is still there.
Yes.
I went to a couple of bar mitzvahs there.
Yes. Yes, very interesting place. Bethel had a very large Jewish community.
Were you a farmer there?
I beg your pardon?
Were you a potato farmer?
Correct, potatoes and mealies.
Okay. So yes. You lived in the Platz, and I went for one Yom Kippur to help them actually with a minyan with my Jewish sons. So we went to help them, and I spent a Rosh Hashanah and a Yom Kippur with the Hershovites.
And the Hershovitzes were very prominent in Bethel and Darvel. Very much. My family were the Levines. They were also very well settled there. As a matter of fact, I used to go as a child when I was born in Johannesburg. I used to go to Bethel, to Darvel, for my for my holidays on the farm. It was called Fontaine.
I know Fontaine. Du bist a real Hattes. A real Hattes deluxe.
And I'll tell you something, ek praat die taal goed. I speak the language well.
Did you know?
Yes.
Did you know the
Cross
Cohens
speaking
in Bethel?
Did
you know the Cohens in Bethel?
Yes, very much
Oh,
so.
they're cousins of mine as well.
The news were all related, it seems. So
Your
know.
it's a wonderful thing.
Yes, it was a good.
I see we have a question in the chat regarding the Apartheid Museum.
Okay.
Yes.
What is the question? The
It
question
says
is what's happening there.
you did not mention the Apartheid Museum, which is a major landmark in Soweto.
I take very frequently, I take people to the Apartheid Museum. Unfortunately, it is closed to the public. In fact, I particularly enjoy taking people to the Apartheid Museum. Besides that, there is a lovely coffee shop there as well. Okay, unfortunately, the Mandela House, the Apartheid Museum are all closed to the public. And I didn't have enough material to put on the video. So that's what is happening. I spend many times up to 2 hours inside the Apartheid Museum. Sadly so, due to Corona, or in a fancier way, where COVID-19, although I like the Spanish word Corona, the crown of glory of Zores. So what we got here is it is closed. Whoever is asking the question.
Thank you for that, Julio. Would somebody else like to ask a question or share their nostalgia down Monroe Drive?
Did you go to those places? Who went to Monroe Drive? Monroe Drive, when I came to Johannesburg back to 1979, I lived for 3 or 4 years in Cape Town. Okay, it was a beautiful place to do isbodedut, okay, to take a girlfriend there, to see the beautiful trees. It was a great, any young person that was not Belit Nadaim, okay, they used to go to Monroe Drive or to top of Yeovil to oversee by the tower. There was another beautiful view.
Yes.
And you can do
towards Hillbrow side.
It was great to go there.
Yes.
Just interfere for a moment. I'd like to say thank you very much. It was very interesting to watch, to see what he's got to say. There's a lot more of interest to the South African Jewish community.
Thank you, David.
Any other questions, Teddy?
I don't see any on the chat, and I don't see anybody volunteering.
People are shy in Israel, or they are too tired.
I don't know what to tell you. I'm very surprised myself. But then in the meantime, we all became related, and I want to thank you so much for your time and everything. And we'll find out how we're all related. But before we all go, I do want to share with you the upcoming events for January. On the 10th of January, there'll be a lecture with the Shifteh community and Rabbi Marcus. The title of the event is Rabbis Tanzer, Zichrono Levacha, and Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs. He will be talking about the philosophies, similarities, and differences, so do join. And then on Sunday, the 17th, we have an extremely interesting online event with Professor Manfred Green. Manfred will be taking your questions and give a lecture, Can we eradicate or eliminate COVID-19 locally or globally? So I hope you'll join us for those 2 upcoming events. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. A good night to everybody and good things.
One last word, if I may say goodbye before you get rid of me. I wish to thank you sincerely for the opportunity, to you, Aviva, for Zooming this whole activity. I am just waiting. It's a pity that I have to wait 2 years or 18 months to get to Israel, but between bureaucracy and the corona. I hope I don't lose the kavanah of going to Israel, but I guess that by the time I'm 70, like that youngster from Bethel, I will actually be joining you. Thank you once again. I appreciate it. Hatzlocha, Hatzlacha, and all the very best to all of you.
Thank you
And
so much, Julio.
with lots of gesund. We love you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you for
much,
bringing
and we
back
look forward to
those-
seeing you in Israel.
Thank you, Aviva, and a good night to everybody.
Thanks, Eddie. Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Shalom Aleichem.